And off a little bit recently just because of the holiday season. Currently working on a new dashboard that is kind of inspired by kind of personal interest more than anything. So I am a Vikings fan, being from Minnesota, and watching Minnesota, there is a lot of plays that center around Adrian Peterson, and the announcers tend to talk about statistics of what he's doing when he's running. So I thought it would be kind of fun to kind of build out a dashboard. And here's a really rough, kind of early version of what I'm trying to do. With this, I'm learning how to implement background images within Tableau, and it has not been super easy. I don't even have it completely done yet. I've got kind of the idea theory started, so I'm going to spend probably the next hour working on implementing this. I just finished, before I started streaming, a couple image updates for what I'm going to do. So let me just click download those. Unfortunately, I don't have Photoshop on this computer, so I had to do it on the Mac that the wife has, that she has in the other room. So just go ahead and download these images. So I wasn't sure whether I'm going to want this all broken out into separate images or if I want to use one main dashboard. So let's go desktop, Tableau streaming files, drop them off there. All right, so now we should have Tableau streaming. So what I've kind of built out so far is I'm going to have this image with a little bit of fancy font on the top. And then this image will go onto the bottom right section, which will be actually this information here. So the hope is using this layout along with using advanced background images, I can insert my data points on here and it's not going to look too cumbersome. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do about grand total yet. Probably doesn't matter, as this kind of statistics is going to be available kind of in other areas within the dashboard. So what I'm focusing on mostly tonight is just getting this bottom section done, and then I'll be updating the background image to match suit with kind of what I'm aiming for here. So with that, let's get started. I'm going to start by updating this background image. Pick image. Let's go to Tableau streaming files. And let's just, it's a little large. Thought I had sized it appropriately. How big is this? 1500 by 1000. All right, well. Already I'm hitting a little bit of a stumbling block, but this is going to be a very large dashboard if I continue to use what I've got built out, image-wise. Fortunately, I didn't resize it down. No wonder when I was creating the secondary image here for the bottom right, felt like it was a little bit bigger than I had anticipated. Well, that's a little bit of a bummer. I'm probably going to end up having to fix this quite quickly. I should. Hoping I can just resize everything on the Photoshop document, recut it out, and go from there. But this is a really wide dashboard, and I don't think I want it to be this large. I mean, it'd be fine if I had a lot of different things I needed, but I only need I'm going to go with this size. So 1000 by 800. All right, I'll be right back quickly while I attempt to update that. But kind of what it's going to look like at the end of the day is something kind of similar to this. If I pull this crossed, and then I will pull in some numbers just go in these spots here. So how many runs are 20 plus, how many are negative, so on and so forth by each of these or I guess 7 rush routes through the center, through each guard, tackles, and then off the ends. So I'm going to take like 2 minutes to update this, and I'll be right back. Here goes nothing. That was not helpful. Maybe I should have paused the stream, but you know what? Whatever. Let's update those images. Hopefully they're the right size now. And let's download those. Extract to stream files. Okay. Now, let's see how big these are. That's rush direction. That's properties. Alright, so 1000 wide. Alright, cool. Let's start by creating a new dashboard. We're going to go with the standard desktop size, and we'll throw an image in. So we've got our header, throw in another image, let's go to the bottom, we'll just throw in the left side, and then we throw in, oh man, fit. Oh, that's right, the height ended up being 667, I believe. I definitely see the benefit of having just a default image background. Alright, let's get rid of these. Like I said earlier, this stuff's kind of new to me, so throw an image in here. Let's throw in this main dashboard image. Let's make it fit. Alright, and then let's make it floating so that we can have it fill up the entirety of our dashboard here. Now we've got this part added in. Next thing we'll want to do is add another floating piece, and that's where we will add our run by location. So I don't have it built out yet with the new image yet, but at least we've got something kind of in place. Increase the vertical size here, so it'll be sitting on the bottom over here. Once I get it done. Those colors are gross when something's selected, so I'll have to make sure to turn off the selection aspect to it. Really don't like how that kind of interacts immediately. It just does some things automatically that I really don't like, to be honest. Alright, so rush by location. So I'm going to go ahead and, I guess duplicating this isn't going to be too useful, but I do need to create a new Excel spreadsheet. Alright, so I have Tableau, or I have Excel with the online version on this desktop. I have a separate one on my Surface that can be used independently. But a couple things I'm looking for is I'm going to want to match up some X and Y data. So X, Y, and let's get the image size. So properties here. It is going to be 638 by 291. Kind of a weird number, but 638 by 291. So that's going to be the max size of our dashboard. So we'll call it table. All right. And then this is going to be 20 plus yards. So I want to be able to match it up on this left value here. So if I input the data so that this ends up being the same, 0 to 19, it'll make it a little bit easier to pivot on later once I get these different values in. And then the next, I'm going to want to insert another column. So I need to add in our rush abbreviations. So this is telling us which direction they rushed from. So rush abbrev. So we'll go left end. And we get that for all. Let's go with nothing this one. So I get left end for all three of these items. Go LT, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle, and then right end. All right, so now we have our different data points. So this is going to help us figure out where I'm going to insert everything on that image. So if I save this, let's save it first to OneDrive here. And go Documents, save it there, and we'll call this AP rush direction for Adrian Peterson. All right, I'll need to come back to this in a little bit, but I figured that's not good. It just deleted everything I did, didn't it? Okay then. Well, that didn't take long to make, so we'll go at it again. So we're looking at 20 plus yards, name the header, and then rush abbreviation. It's kind of an annoying feature, if you will. It wouldn't let me save it. If this doesn't work again, I'll have to this is not nearly as good as Google Docs for this purpose. I was hoping that Excel Online wouldn't be that bad. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do everything on my Surface for setting this up. Because I don't have actual Excel on the desktop, unfortunately. Or just make a CSV file manually. kind of annoyed. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, well. Download a copy. Yeah, that's what I figured. Can I save this as... CSV? Doesn't look like it wants me to. Well, let's just see if Notepad++. There was... This may be the easiest way to go. Save as AP Rush layout. I'll go with that. Okay. Well, actually, you should probably change the file type. Well, text should be fine, because Tableau is good about that. Excel, you're useless to me. Alright. So, let's add a new data source, text file, and go to Tableau Streams, AP Rush Layout. Okay. And my cat is standing underneath me meowing. Really, cat? Alright. So, I'm going to insert the image, so map background to... Which one do I want to map it to? Go AP Rush Layout. Browse. Bingo. Then I have to go back to the size chart. So X is going to go 638. And the Y field is going to go to 291. Options, always show entire image. Done. Go. Okay. Throw this in here. X and Y. Well, that wasn't so hard. So let's just quick throw it in here. See what it looks like. Now, it will require, you know, a little bit of cleanup work. Get rid of the header. Get rid of that header. Hide title. Fit. Then I think just doing some resizing here. Figure out how to get rid of some of the blank space, but already you can kind of see how it's supposed to lay out. So that's a good start. I think I need to fix my headers though. So if I edit my axis, automatic, fixed points, changing my ending point to 291. change this access to be same maximum for that. So 638, which it already has here, but then remove the headers. I have to go back to this dashboard. It's looking a lot closer. Now the one thing I need to figure out is how to get rid of the white line that's around it. And part of that is going to be probably getting this lined up appropriately. So 291 for height, and then 638 for width. Yes, cat, I hear you meowing. So, voila, we have this here. Fortunately, I have no idea how to get rid of that white line. I was trying to play with this the other day, yesterday actually, and I couldn't quite get it to work. I don't know if it was something to do with the panes. Maybe I need to make... oh, there we are. Cool. Now, if I do an absolute positioning for this, since I know it's 291 high, I can probably figure out an absolute position doing some very quick math. So it's 1,000 wide. So what, 638 plus, so that one's good. Now the height, 667. Hate that Windows 10 doesn't have a built-in calculator. Gives you the option to use whatever calculator you want. 667. And minus the 291, that's my height. So 376. I wasn't too far off. But that should get it right on the edge there. And we're starting to look good already. So the next step is going to be figuring out how to insert the data points that I'm looking for. So this is obviously zoomed in a little bit high, but it's fine. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to have to start annotating a few locations. So what this is going to do is I'm going to put that data into my text file. For the X and Y axis. So for the 20 plus yards left end, it's going to be 136.72, and the Y is going to be 172.937. So if I save this and I bring in some that information there. And I need to pull in both of these into the details tab. And then what I'm caring about is yards and carries. So if I go throw this in the label, I call it plays. If I refresh, I think I got this, that was saved. All right. So label, show marks. Pretty sure I did this correctly. Being as this is my first time really doing this. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it should be popping up right here if everything was going appropriately. Some yards. Yada yada. Make it white. Let's make it big. Apply. What else could be causing this? Ah, yes. Oh no, I got the rush abbreviation done. If I pull this near rush by that, aggregate plays, some yards, text for the marks. Remove. Oh yes, and then I remove this sum and change it to max. Any better yet? How about if I do this and then this? No, still not any better yet. I'm not entirely sure on how to do this, so I'll have to dig in a little bit more. But it's definitely looking nicer. Just need to figure out how to get the data to line up. Well, maybe I should annotate more points first. I mean, that's pretty easy to do. Annotate point. Done. So the X is 214. And 65. Now I'll probably want to keep the Y value the same for everything that's on the left end. And then just worry about changing the X value. So the X value for this one is going to be, sorry, I confused myself when I said that. X value for 0 to 19 yards. That's not at all the right spot. I'm still looking at, it's right here. So my X value will be the same. My Y value will be different because I'm going down. So we'll go 114.737 and then 49.47. And I want to kind of get this fleshed out before I fill out all the information, just because I'm not sure how it's going to lay out with everything that's in here. So refresh. Let's just make sure this data source has data in it. So I'm concerned that I might be looking at the wrong one. AP Rush Layout. Okay. Right now it still has null values. And these should have information based on this and there. And when I refresh, should refresh those values. So that's why I'm not seeing any data come in. May not like how I've done it manually in here. I'm assuming these are tabbed. That's a tab. Let's throw this into, you know what, Google Sheets it is. I don't want to use Google Sheets, but it's going to be the easiest way to make this. I'll just paste it back in here when I'm done with everything. None. Save. Done. Alright. Well, it picked up this. It did not pick up values, though, for those two. It may not like that I added decimals for some reason. But the decimals aren't super critical here. So let's get rid of those. Save. Let's refresh. There we are. Now we're starting to get some data. Pretty much exactly what I was looking for. Obviously it's not formatted, but cool. Man, I need this to not be zoomed out so much. That's not what I needed to do. Because these numbers aren't going to match up layout-wise with how they're presented here. So you got your yards, you've got your plays. They aren't necessarily in the format that I wanted in yet, so probably go like insert. Oops, no, I don't want that in there twice. Play. Oh man, how many times am I gonna click the same thing? And we'll go everything left aligned. Just rudimentary. Runs, yards. Format. Lines, none. Colors, worksheet, none. I don't want any banding. No colors at all. It's got this background color here. Format. Pretty sure you can get rid of that. Shading. No shading. Okay, so that doesn't do anything. Really would prefer to have no shading at all. Unless you can't. And that kind of ruins, you know, what I was trying to do here. Let's change everything to none. Text. Color, that's good. Maybe this is why on one of those dashboards they used something a little bit different. They had orange around the numbers. I was really hoping I can make this just background color gone. Where's the format that gives me that green color here? So that's under default worksheet. I mean, none ends up being the same as having any other color, unfortunately. So do I look for a green? Not sure why it turned black. Sheet. Played with one too many colors somewhere. I guess I'm stumped. I'm a little bit frustrated by this, though. Background image. Let's see if I can find anything. Background image. Text color. I don't know what I'm gonna have to. Each mark is surrounded by a solid contrasting color halo. That's not what I want at all. You can turn halo marks off by selecting Format, Shading, said it was supposed to be in here. Show halo marks off, but maybe that's under the mapping. Edit options. Maybe I have to go. Oh, yeah, go in the actual sheet format. Something about halos, but I'm not finding it anywhere. Let's turn halos off. Whether or not this is defunct, mark halos. I don't want those in there. All right, well, let's try looking for if there's any more Tableau. Remove mark halos. Only drawn on symbol maps. Cancel. Ah, here it is. None. Oh, good. Oh, man. That just made it look like 50 million times better. I had to find that completely on my own. But man, does that look good now. Dashboard 3. So, obviously I need to, work on changing the font out a little bit. Because it definitely needs to be smaller. And then moving things into the correct spot. So this is exactly the correct size. How do I get this to not zoom in? Because I want to see this at the size it's supposed to be. Window. Get sheet 8. Well, let's see if at least... Alright, let's move you over there. This is going to be way cooler looking once we get it done. The only hang-up is getting this to fit because of how the font renders. So let's actually first, step 1, let's resize this font. So what I don't get is why the font is technically so small. That's not what I was looking for. Still not what I'm looking for. It's because I got it too big over here. Okay, so that looks more manageable. Should probably change runs to rushes. Text. Rushes. Probably continue to make it a little bit smaller. Let's try 10. Okay. I may need to annotate directly from this view. Alright. Format. No actions. Kind of. There's a couple other map things I can do in here too. Where it was map options. Okay. That's good, that's good. Options. Lock. Okay. So I probably actually wanted to grab the location in the middle of the area I wanted for each of these spots, and then from there when I'm in the dashboard, then it'll pull it from the middle. Because I think I grabbed like this corner here thinking it would go down to the right. So if I just quick update my annotation spots, let's annotate that. So my X value is going to be 155. Y value is 153. Let's move this down about the center here again. So I only need to update my Y value after the 155. 97. Go 155 again. And to the middle here. 30. Save this. Refresh this. Alright, let's delete that. Let's take a look at the dashboard. Keep looking at the whole dashboard. Well, there we go. This is actually pretty darn close to what I was looking for. So I'll have the tooltips, so they'll be able to get a little bit more information. I'll update how this is laid out, obviously. Some of these numbers don't quite match up. They must be looking at totals instead of broken out by the subgroup. But yeah, starting to cook with a little bit of gas here now. That took a lot longer to figure out than I expected. I don't know what this... Oh, that's the none value. Got it. Can I hide that value? Dimensions. Apply. Done. Okay. Let's get some more points annotated here. Alright, so I'm going to try to keep it pretty uniform. So I'm going to be looking for just an X value for this one. Which is going to be, and the Y value will remain the same. But I grabbed the wrong one. There we go. So it'll be 153 for the height. Let's keep things consistent. Then 223. Ooh, it's there we go. And then this will be 97. This will be 30. Alright. Pull this mark in the middle of this area. So we're going to be looking at change of X to 2. X will be 291. Throw that on each of these. And then the Y value will follow the normal convention. This would be a little bit faster in Excel if I had it open, but I'm not going to fret too much about it. Faster if I just went like this. All about finding efficiencies. It's always, because at least this way the Y value is already set. And I'm just digging to get the X value for each one. All right. Next stop, the center, I believe. So we're looking for 359. $427. Pull that over a little bit more. $499. And $561. Save and refresh. Delete the annotation. And voila! Got a little crowded in there. So this is where I can start working a little bit more to update things. So obviously either I need to update the name or I need to make it a smaller font. Let's start with making a smaller font. I need to get rid of that view. Just keep clicking on it over and over. So I feel like it doesn't quite get broken up appropriately this way. I don't know if I want to have a vertical break on it as well. I could make this entire section a bit larger, which means I would have to redo a fair bit of the work that I've done, but I had expected it to be a little bit smaller. Well, maybe even a little bit wider if I compare these two. But I basically nixed this and put it as part of each of these data points. So I could probably widen it, to be honest. Probably keep the same height though. So I can probably just go to Photoshop, move these over, space these out a little bit more, and go from there. But I like the way it turned out. Give it a little more size. On the font. And I think this bottom section is pretty good to go. Like I said, I might make it a little bit wider on the side. The only reason being is, well, it would make some sense. I really want to add analysis filter. I need to add a quick filter. Because I want to be able to look at things by game. People want to... There. Next. Okay. Show filter. Let's actually make it... Oof, that's not what I was hoping for. Well, that's kind of interesting. You can look at the last month, week, and date doesn't make sense. Relative date. Because this is done in weeks. So I almost wanted it just to... Alright. Let's remove this. game date. I mean, I could possibly create a custom date from it. Week number. I don't really like week number. What's game ID look like? Brutal. It's not really a good way to go either. Fortunately, this data set doesn't have a really good let's go days. That's not what I wanted either. I wanted month, day, year. There we go. So you can look at the game for any day minus null. Apply. So if we show the quick filter, multiple values. I don't like the multiple values custom list. I also need to add in a couple of the filters that I had on these. So is Adrian Peterson and is Rush. So let's make sure those get in here, because yeah, I don't think he ran 4,100 yards down the left tackle. Now that I look at this a little bit closer, let's look for is true, and then so maybe I actually don't have to do as much as I thought I did. I used is Rush. Okay. I just saved myself a bunch of hassle. This actually looks a lot better. When you only have the one player, you don't have thousands of yards in a direction. So I think this worked. I think it worked almost exactly as I had hoped for, to be honest. The only other thing I might want to throw on here is an average carry value, which I don't think should be too hard. I've already calculated that out. So throw that in here as another value. So here's our yards per play, text. So this needs to be, everything needs to be 8 yards per carry. I mean, that almost might be too much information. It's really pretty helpful in the 0 to 19 range. When it comes to, I guess it's okay, but for like the big runs, like you get 2 rushes for an average of 52.5 yards. Not entirely sure how I feel about it yet. If I pull that out and delete that row here. Okay. And let's say I want to bring in a quick filter. Window. Oh man. I have to go here. Filter. that. So wondering if I can make this transparent and have it sit over here. Format. Font. Body. You have a lot of dates in there that probably shouldn't exist. Let's throw in one more thing. Should be an offense team. Granted, the only one that should show up is Minnesota, as Adrian Peterson's the only team that he plays for is Minnesota, but let's see. Still has a lot of dates. So I was hoping to have something along the lines of like game 1, game 2, game 3, and you could look at all the information across these different levels. And I could have swore I've made this transparent before, because I had it sit over a different item. Shading 100%. Nope. May have to make a custom filter, which is basically the same thing that I did here, only when you click on the point, it then impacts these other sheets. And that might be what I'll end up doing in the long run, because that'll give me more flexibility, as I'm finding here. Like, to get these broken out to be sitting in exact positions and have this information, kind of nice. I'm not gonna lie. Granted, it may have been nicer if I could have lined everything left to line instead of center lined over the spot, but I'm not too concerned about it. The only other thing is maybe bringing this part of the image up a little bit, get the O's a little higher along with the lines, but obviously I still need to update the tooltip, so might as well do that now. So I can still throw in some more values and to include in the tooltip. So rush direction, we'll add that to detail. We can add yards to detail. So now we can add each of these to the tooltip. Yards. And then instead of we'll insert rush direction. And then maybe just throw this over next to it. I don't know, I'm just spitballing right now. And I don't know, maybe we'll throw the yards per carry in again. Insert yards per play. Yards per carry. So this way when you hover over, I wanted to put rush in here instead of rush direction. Tooltip. That updated appropriately. Actually, I don't really like the 20 plus yards piece. There. So the 10 plays off the left end for 63 yards, that had an average carry of 6.3. I don't know. Play with that a little bit more. It's way prettier than this dashboard that I was building out. Not gonna lie, this was hideous, but I wanted to be able to make sure I had the right data. So the next step I'll probably do is cut out backgrounds for these and then figure out how to create that side filter here. Because I really want to be able to give you the option to choose the game that you want to see stats for. And I was going to add in touchdowns, and I think I have detail, touchdowns, and first downs. So if we insert touchdowns here, because this is really the bread and butter, and then first downs, should probably add that above first downs, so that's more the way they say it. And then fumbles, that's the thing that tends to plague Adrian Peterson a little bit. Throw that in there as well. And you're starting to see that my tooltip is going to be the main place for people to get the information. Fumbles. Alright, these are gray. There's no easy way to... Which gray is it? You know what, screw it. Everything is going to be this color gray in that box. And first downs, as I said earlier, would go above touchdowns. Kind of order of importance. I gotta start deleting some of these old dashboards. So you'll see, you know, where he has the fumbles. Touchdowns. Could add some of these directly into the tooltip. Touchdowns might be a nice thing to do. It's really not a difficult thing to do. Add text, change, blah. And probably add it in front. I lied. I'm going to add it to the back. Only problem is it shows up when there are no touchdowns. So that's something I'll need to figure out. Or have it display null. I'll remove that for now. And that's not what I want to do at all. I want to keep it in the detail level, but remove from the insert TDs. Okay, then remove it from the marks text. Apply. The only other thing I want to do is maybe, okay. If I center align everything, it's going to make it not look so different between this line, and the other one. Be more similar. Anyway, I feel like I made some great progress on this dashboard tonight. You know, getting started building something new is kind of difficult. But I was able to get in the graphical elements that I've been looking for, and then really just kind of the design elements that I think are going to make this dashboard pop at the end of the day. So I'll go ahead and save this for now. And I'm going to call it a night. This was kind of fun to work on. I feel like I got some good progress. And, probably end up working on it again some more Thursday and next week, and possibly this weekend, depending on how things shake out. So, anyway, thanks for joining me. Doesn't look like anyone did while live, but if anyone checks this out while this is on YouTube, feel free to join me on future Tuesdays. And I don't know, I'd love to have some open dialogue back and forth, especially, when I was a little stumped on a couple things I was trying to work on. But